you on the show.
Join us for an unforgettable Caribbean cruise in June 2025. Hey there, are you ready for an adventure? Our Black Media Network is hosting an amazing Caribbean cruise and you're invited. What's in store? 5 days of fun on the high seas. Join us for a fantastic getaway filled with parties, workshops, and opportunities to connect with your favorite show hosts. Network and connect. This isn't just a cruise. It's a unique opportunity to meet like-minded individuals, network with industry professionals, and make lasting memories. There's something for everyone. Don't wait. This is your chance to be a part of something special. For more information, reach out to our staff or your favorite show host. Book your spot today and let's make waves together in June 2025. You don't want to miss this.
Hello, I'm Richard Coleman, and I'm running for the office of Sheriff of Chatham County. And when I'm elected, I promise to inspect what I expect. Chatham County, it's time for a change, and that change is me, Richard Coleman.
I think you're muted, sir. Let me unmute you. Yeah, unmute your mic.
He's talking to you, Pop.
You got to unmute. There you go.
Yeah, good morning, Savannah. Now, I had one of them youngins in here with me. I didn't want y'all to hear the conversation.
So, well, all right. It might have helped.
Yeah, but good morning. We are having a bright, sunshiny morning down here in Savannah, Georgia. And after the storm, it has been pretty nice around here, but the cleanup is a mess. Brother Robert Bryan, you, the young man that ran for the mission board and Georgia Power, was one of the aims of the product that you work for. What do you think about what went on with this storm?
Yeah, I'm gonna thank you for having me, and I'll answer that. But really quick, if you know me, you know I love to promote our young Black businesses, especially our young brothers. So what I'm wearing today, you all, I got on jewelry made by a young man here in Savannah, C. Myrick Designs. So if you're on Instagram, check him out. CMYRICK Design, makes handmade jewelry. I got this on. All of that was made. And if y'all know Lillian Baptiste, her son, Alex Baptiste, he makes t-shirts. This is his brand, Minding My Black-Owned Business. He has different looks. So y'all check those two Black brothers out who are doing business here in the Coastal Empire. But to Public Service Commission. So yeah, I am that person that's going to be, I told you so. I'm going to be that because sometimes it takes that jerk around. You know, some of us grew up, I think Reverend Maynard grew up, your mama would shake you in the grocery store. We need that shakeup. And you know, we don't take voting seriously. Your life is tied into the vote, right? The vote is an investment. And so we're going to invest time in going to the beauty salon and the beauty shops. If we're going to invest time in going to a bar and having a nice dinner somewhere, we've got to invest time into understanding that policymakers impact our day-to-day life. Yesterday, I posted, I want everybody to go do the research on the Georgia Public Service Commission. Every state has a public service commission. Their sole job is to regulate the price of utilities. So every time Georgia Power wants to raise your rates per kilowatt hour, they go and ask for permission from the Public Service Commission. So I ran in 2020. Ever since I've run, ever since that time, I know Georgia Power rates have been increased at least another $20, per kilowatt hour, which is a lot of money. The other part of this issue is we have you as ratepayers, Georgia Power ratepayers, paying for Plant Vogtle, which is a nuclear plant that they were building and have finally finished in Waynesboro, Georgia. So you got this cancer nuclear plant in a Black community. You have ratepayers paying astronomical prices on top of a facility called a nuclear plant that wasn't even in use. So it's almost like paying on a car that you never drive. So what I'm saying is we have a public service commission that's all white. The whole board is white. All of them are Republican, no diversity. And all they're doing is patting themselves on the back, making more profits, and making sure the CEO continues to profit and make more money while you sit here with 4 days of no lights and you're going to pay the same rate every month.
Well, that's, we need the diversity, as you put it. It's true. How do you think that you be able to do that?
Well, here's the thing: you got to have a lot of conversations. What's happening is, and this is a lot of work for us to do. What's happening? They're keeping their people on the board. Republicans are about, as my daddy would say, Republicans are about big business. They will make sure that millionaires profit. And Reverend Maynard does the work about least, lost, and left out. The least lost and left out continue to drift away because they don't care about those people. Reverend Maynard, I know I would love him share about the work he's been doing for years, where there are people who are getting put out of their homes because they can't pay property tax. Now, with the price of utilities, I don't see how a mother or elderly person can sustain these prices when they continue to allow the corporations to profit. Georgia Power don't need no more money. They don't. They're fine. And then you'll have people like my former opponent on the commission, Commissioner Shaw, Jason Shaw, say, well, it's a service. You got to pay for the service. Well, I shouldn't be paying $30 on a service, whereas people in other states are paying $5 for that same service. So you're not going to convince me that it costs that much more money to give electricity. And so how do I plan on doing that? We've got to get people back in these seats. I know that Patty Duran is running for Public Service Commission. I believe I've heard someone call me, or I've had someone call me who's interested in running. But we got to have people on that commission that understand the reality of everyday Georgians. We don't have that now. We have big business folks who are happy with the way things are going and who don't understand the struggle of day-to-day Americans.
Well, to comment on what you're saying, Dr. Bryant, you are correct. It is an industry, and in this industry, let's talk about the thousands are without electricity right now, and they're being charged $1 a day for not even having electricity. I'm gonna pay you $1, and it may not seem like much to me, to you, or to the next person, but if you add up 1 million people with that they take $1 from, that's over $1 million right there. So, and what are they going to do with that $1 million? They're not investing it back in the community. They're not investing it like as you would say, the least, the lost, and the left out. They're not. They're putting it in their own corporate pockets, and they're going on trips. And I can guarantee you, their families were one of the ones that had lights. I guarantee you their families was some of the ones that had the resources. But our families and our community suffer because of lack of knowledge. if you were out here trying to promote and to educate our people. So we have to break the silos. The silos are those and the gatekeepers who are trying to keep us from obtaining this knowledge, who is in cahoots with those that are in position. That's the bad part about it.
Yeah.
We have people who look like us that's in position, and they're trying to be gatekeepers, and we're not holding them accountable either. They're trying to be gatekeepers.
I got a question now between the two of you, and we're talking about Georgia Power.
Mm-hmm.
What have you seen them do besides supply electricity in our communities for our communities?
Well, me personally, I that one I haven't researched them in a while. I will say this because I invite us to expand that conversation to the EMCs. And so when Public Service Commission also gets real tied into this idea. What's going on, Brother Causer? Public Service Commission gets tied into the thing with the EMCs, the electric co-ops, where the thing that irked my nerves when we were running, Daniel Blackman and I were running in 2020, the conversation around giving them the authority to provide now broadband. You know, broadband is a part of that conversation too. And for those of us who don't know what broadband is, it's that component of the internet that gives people access. So you got people in parts of the rural areas of Georgia that don't even have access to broadband internet, right? And so as we look at the Georgia Power has equal, guilt in this conversation just as much as the EMCs, but the Public Service Commission needs to be held accountable. That's the number one thing here. They have no accountability. Watch this, you all, and I don't want to dominate because Brother Causer just joined us. Let me tell you how they stay in power. So you got a Republican. This is why voting is important. You have a Republican governor called Brian Kemp, right? And who gets to appoint a number of people. But let's say I'm a Republican. I sit on the Public Service Commission. I'm going to serve my 6-year term. And then when it's time, let's say I just want to retire. I don't want to run anymore. I'm good. I'm going to wait till that 5th year. I'm going to step off the board, let Kemp appoint my successor. And then when that successor runs, they run as an incumbent. That's how they keep the power going. That's how they keep the power. That's how they keep the Public Service Commission homogenous. They safeguard it through basically voter suppression. And so we've got to be a little smarter and make sure we get, I'm not saying it has to be a Democrat, but we've got to diversify the conversation on the Public Service Commission to have people that understand struggles, that understand Georgia Power don't need another dollar, but also understands that we've got to have sensible approach to this whole conversation, right? What could they be doing? Let me answer that. They could be helping out with a solar program, making sure we put solar panels on people's homes. They could be helping out with some educational things, which they do well right now, but it's not widely known. So to answer your question, they're doing some things, but they're not doing things that mimic what they're bringing in through revenue.
Well, to comment on that, I can agree with you on that. They do have the resources, and they have put out in our area. Now, I'm not going to say in our community, but in our area, they have put out the solar panels, the electric cars, the EVs. They have put out these certain programs, but they're coming to the community and they're being safeguarded by certain individuals that are not spreading the education or the information to our communities. And that's where I have a problem with them. Because if I need to know something, and if Georgia Power is having something, they always go, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it. They're always going to the JEWA over here. They're always going to the islands. They're always going somewhere that the people does not need. There's not a definite need like in the vulnerable community. They need to be having sessions over there in Carver Village, sections in Liberty City, sections over there in the greater West Savannah, or the Hudson Hill, or Woodville area, or even Garden City over in the Rosemont Hill area. But we're left out the conversation, like Dr. Brian suggested and said. We are left out Because you know why we're left out? Because we don't go and vote. And not all of us, it's not all of us, but the majority of the young people are now turning away from the voting process because they've been deterred because they say it does not work for them.
Well, we have a young man on here with us this morning. We last week he did a tremendous job, and we're supposed to do part 2 this morning because he was so dynamic last week, talking about the young folk and and what we need to do to get those young people back to the poll. And Dr. Causer, introduce yourself. Causer, introduce yourself one more time for us.
Hey, what's going on? Good morning, everyone. Brother Jerome, great to speak with you again. Dr. Brian, great to see you, speak with you. Reverend Manor, good to see you and hear from you again.
Hey, man, it's good to see you as well.
Yes, indeed. Y'all, Demetrius Causer, voting rights attorney at the NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund, founded by Thurgood Marshall back in 1940 and continuing to this present day to fight for racial justice across the United States. And in my work with LDF, I manage our voter protection efforts here in the state of Georgia, and I also support with our efforts over in Louisiana as well. And I can tell y'all, we've been on the road, which is how I came across Brother Jerome and Reverend Manor. But then also we've been staying busy because I picked up on the tail end of that conversation. You know, Hurricane Helene has inflicted great damage across the state, particularly in the areas that are heartfelt to me, you know, rural Georgia. I'm from Waycross. And so everything around that way has been heavily impacted. And right now we're trying to assess what avenues are available to ensure that all impacted voters are still able to access the ballot, and also those who are interested in registering to vote are able to go get registered amid, you know, vast power outages and all the sort. And so, you know, within these next few weeks, which are very critical, going into early voting and election day, y'all may be seeing a lot more of me, especially down in Savannah. Look, y'all just sent an invitation. I love to come speak and see y'all and speak to folks in the community. But it's imperative that we join in as a coalition, as a community, as a family to push folks to the polls, because of the types of change from to EMCs to economic justice for longshoremen to ensuring that Black voters have access to the political participation process without obstacles requires us to mobilize, energize, and get folks to the polls. So I'm glad to be joining this discussion again this morning.
Really quick, let me give a shout out to Brother Causer, man. When I was running for Public Service Commission, there were 2 places I went. That was Waycross and Ware County and Stevens County. So shout out to our rural areas.
Yes, sir.
Brother Irvin, I think you and that microphone not friendly this morning.
Again, we're gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back with y'all, and we're gonna bring the show this morning. So y'all stick with us.
Okay.
I'm Patty Hewitt, and I'm worried about our future.
Last one.
I think about my grandkids and the belief that they deserve every opportunity. And what you deserve, what coastal Georgia deserves, is someone who cares more about their community than about corporate profits and big pharma.
I'll see you later.
All right, thank you. Small business owners and hardworking Georgians are the heart of our community.
Good day.
Not CEOs, not lobbyists, not shareholders. But who's taking care of them? It's time to ask yourself, what do you want from your government? This is our year to stand up against what we know is wrong. No more DC politicians invading our home life. No more racism that kills dreams and spreads violence. And no more corporate greed at the expense of workers' rights and our environment.
So what would be the most meaningful help to you?
I've spent the last 8 years working behind the scenes, mobilizing our communities for positive change. And while that is really important work, I can't stand by and allow the same tired politicians to run this country, the same ones who've neglected the real needs of Georgians. I'm ready to take our seat in Congress so I can fight for you and your families.
I vote for you.
Thank you, my darling. I love you. This isn't about party lines. This is about voting for a better future for more Georgians. Enough is enough.
Oh, I mean my friend, your Savannah homeboy, Clarence Thomas, made sure that I don't go to prison.
So Julius is in there talking to Trump. Oh, I'm telling.
Well, we're back, and we last week we had a tremendous discussion, and I invited Dr. Bryant to take part with us last week, but he had to take care of some other things while he was in back and behind the scenes working. But we've got over 2,000 longshoremen right here in the city of Savannah that's on break. Not on break, but on strike. Take that back, on strike. And while they're on strike, you hit Demetrius, you hit the nail on the head just a minute ago. They all have to vote. We all have to vote. And Reverend Maynard said earlier, we have to get the younger generation to vote and get them to understand the importance of voting. So how do you see what we need to do, Dr. Demetrius?
I think both ends are definitely important, from the longshoremen to the youth, and I think what we're seeing bear out in real time now are the consequences of having a voice and acquiescing and obtaining your fair share of this of what you're owed, and so definitely give support to those unions and those folks who are fighting for fair wages based off of their work. And I think it sets a precedent and an example for young voters. We can directly tie and connect dots for young voters to see the importance between casting your ballot and economic gains as a consequence thereof, because there are some administrations, federal, state, and local, that are favorable, that are attentive to the needs and the wants of those in working class communities who are demanding fair wages, and there are some who are not so amenable to those same needs, right? And it's up to the voter to choose which direction they like to go. And I think most folks, especially young folks in our neck of the woods, we have greater proximity to those folks who are working every day, who go punch a clock, who does the grunt, working the labor. And so when we connect the dots for them and they see how, voting for a particular administration will have an impact and a change on in policies that could favor their communities, and then by God, it should encourage them all the more to go vote. And now I mentioned this and be done. Young voters, Generation Z voters, will comprise about 50% of the electorate this year. 50%. That is an outsized influence in policy and decision making from the state, the local, and national levels. And places like Georgia, I believe like 1/5 of all newly eligible voters will be voters of color, Black voters, Hispanic voters, and what we're driving home for these young folks is that they literally have power in their hands. They literally have power as a collective and as individuals, and they can direct and illustrate a nation that they want to see, and that best acquiesces to their values, to their needs, to the needs of their communities and their families. And so, that we're just doing a lot of communicating and messaging and connecting the dots for young voters so they don't pass up on this election and that they continue to stay with the process.
And we have to, I concur. I agree with you on that. But we have to also, like you said, break it down in layman's terms. We have to show them if you don't get out to vote, this is the consequences. Let's look at the storm that just hit us. We know that people are doing price gouging right now because of the situations that's going on. But now, not only does that affect our economy, but with this strike, this is going to affect our economy as well. So you think they price gouging now that we don't have the commerce that's coming in now. Well, they're going to show enough. Prices are going to go sky high. So we have to show our young people, listen, if you think you can barely make it now, imagine if you don't go to the polls and vote for fairness across the board. We'll be in trouble, guys. It's going to be a famine here. So we need to teach them and show them in layman's terms. Listen, this is the cause and effect, as you said.
Well, look at this referral. I was watching, and I really invite you all to watch a documentary called Poverty Incorporated, but it's called Poverty Inc. It was on Tubi, I think, either Tubi or Peacock. I think Tubi. We talk about both of what Brother Causer and Reverend Maynard offered was so important to this whole documentary. We hear Trump talking about tariffs, right? This is go a little deeper, and how he wants to raise tariffs. And what I didn't realize, and I don't think any of us realize, when you raise tariffs and the arrogancy of America, we are now shutting out countries like Haiti with the rice industry, and countries like Africa. Continents like Africa, where they have the resources, but because France and America have gone and taken their resources, now we have big agricultural markets. We get to shut them out. But when we raise tariffs, we compress their economy. And so we as Black and brown folk got to be very mindful that when people are talking about those things and we don't look deeper into our research, we're hurting our own people. And so I just invite us to think a little bit broader, because I think Brother Carter talked about it, but policy is such a huge policy, guys, everything. It's one of the reasons why now we get to see Black and brown communities suffer, because they do it through policy. And then Project 2025 takes that policy and expands it to even more oppression. The whole thing about Roe v. Wade had nothing to do with abortion. It was a litmus test to see how many rights could be taken away. And if folks don't make sense of it really quick, Reverend Maynard, like you said, what you think you don't have now, you're going to lose. Think about it. 4 days you had no lights, no electricity, no internet, which, we can make it through. But what happens when Black communities that are flooded don't have lights, don't have resources? Oh, we didn't take your community away from you, displace you, and give it to other people. We got to be very mindful and look beyond the surface, because what we're seeing right now is a game. And right now, we're working in a system that was never designed for us to succeed anyway.
Well, and you're right. And I'm going to lead by example. I'm just going to talk about me right now. I'm going to talk about me because I always say I fight for the least, the lost, and the left out. And we know this. Everybody that knows me, they know I really fight for the least, the lost. I am right now opening up my home to the elderly lady and her special needs son, because they have nowhere to go. In a time like this, the resources are very limited. Listen, we can't even get hotels for our people right now. We can't even find a decent hotel. Let's say you can find a hotel, but let's say a decent hotel. Let's talk about affordable living. What's affordable for you may not be affordable for them. Okay. So how do we bridge that gap? How do we bridge the gap between not just affordable living, but workforce housing as well? And we're telling the young people to go out and vote, and they're telling us, listen, we need these things. We need blessings here. We understand that in a biblical sense, that when Christ went out into the communities, what did he do? He met the needs of the people, right? In order to grab their attention. And so if we're just standing on the street corner saying go vote and show no produce or no products of what can happen because of your vote, we're just speaking to the wind. But if we show them, like I said, we show them. We have to show them that, hey, listen, the cause and effect is this. The cause and effect is that. You said that right then, Dr. Bryant. We have to educate them. Once we sit down, and we have to get the right people to educate them.
Y'all know this is a great conversation. I'm thinking collectively we're all hitting on all cylinders. Dr. Brian mentioned it from a global perspective, where man, I'm hearing you mention it from a local perspective. And some of what I said about policy has been mentioned from a national perspective. And when we boil it down to the cause and effects, and we can meet students or young folks where they're at, look, examples are abound. I mean, they're abundant right now. From the school shooting up in Appalachia, and Walton, right there in Walton, Georgia, to flooding in local neighborhoods and streets. All of this in some way, some shape, some form ties back to global, national, and local policy. We're asking, I think right now kids are asking questions like why or how. How does these occurrences happen? How do we cope? What's the aftermath? Right there, their world is being rocked right now. Their adolescent brains are trying to grapple with everything right now. So right now is when their minds are being the most formative, right, amidst a very contentious presidential election. And so this is the best time to reach them, tie together those knots, and speak to them where they are, because I'm certain those displaced by the hurricane in Chatham County could relate or be all attentive to any issues related to flooding, related to climate change, right? And just like those students probably around the state are really attentive to gun legislation and gun safety laws. Why? Because they're living in these moments presently. And so y'all are really hitting on the head this morning.
Well, man, let me expand a little bit, and I'm gonna tap into something you said last week. But let me, Alan, you said this. Romain, you said this. You said we got to show them. Let me speak to our people, our Black communities, to the mother who is working 3 or 4 jobs, and like you said, couldn't get that hotel room, because I have a 95-year-old mother back there with Alzheimer's, and I praise God every day because I have the resources that I need to navigate her. So I have a privilege, and I want people to hear this. When you have a certain privilege and a platform of privilege, you use that for good. And so I use that, try to use that every day in what I do. But what I'm saying is this: people are living it every day. It burns my gears to sit at the port of Savannah River and see billions of dollars coming through that port, and we got a poverty issue in the city. It burns my gears to see people in Yamacraw Village who have to walk to Plant Riverside, who have to work there and can't even afford a meal there because of low wages. Yet we have a Black mayor. It burns my gears to know that downtown Savannah had lights before anybody. As a matter of fact, probably had no discomfort at all, but our Black community struggled for 4 days, and we have elderly people out here, single moms, children who had to suffer. Why is that the case? We are living it every day. If you don't have access in your pocket, then get your tail to the polls and get these people out of office. I don't even care if they look like you. It's time out for acting like we don't know what's going on, because we're living it every day. We see our people. It irks me to know that we have a majority Black city council, and the communities and businesses in this same community are the ones that are suffering are Black. We are eating and destroying our own community. But let me take it a step further, because I'm not just going to pick on us. I'm going to pick on this governor too. I like Brian Kemp to a certain degree, but we got our people incarcerated. Brother Demetrius, I got a similar story to you. I got a brother who's been incarcerated well over 30 years beyond his time, because we got folk that don't look like us on these boards. So we got to start taking this stuff seriously. Our families, our pockets, our lives, our everyday is impacted by it. And if you don't see that voting is important, then what country and it impacts your everyday living? And I'm passionate about it because for over 400 years, our people have suffered. And the only way to step out of that suffering is to get to that ballot box and use that investment and get people out of the way that are not supporting your best interests.
Well, y'all have said it all. Y'all are hitting the numbers this morning. That's why we're having part 2. Y'all keep going. We may have part 3. I just got a message. As y'all were talking, I just got a message. Says that FEMA is going to be providing hot meals from 11 o'clock until they run out. at at the stadium.
Yeah, that was announced yesterday. Yeah.
I just got to know him. But
And ice as well. Yes, sir.
And let me
And showers.
when
And
you got
showers.
so
Don't
many,
forget
so many black
showers.
neighborhoods,
why are they going to Memorial Stadium? Get over here
that's what I'm
in our
talking
black
about. Why
neighborhoods and those community centers where it's needed. That's
right.
not the town don't need that. They fine. Get over here in Yamacraw Village. Get over here in Fairwood Homes. Get where the people are. Come to the people where they are.
That's right. That's right. You got to meet people where they are.
Well, see, my thing is, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry, but I'm with you on that. I do agree with you on that. If you're gonna have that type of service, provide the means to get the people there. Provide the means. So now that we know it's there, so let's try to get these churches with the church vans and buses to bus these people over there and try, because we know that they're not going to divert it because of us. So let's get our people there.
And they usually bring it to our community.
We know that they should, but they have not. So we can't recreate the wheel. So now that we know where it is, let's go ahead and make use of it. Let's go. I hate it. I hate to have to say this. I hate to have to say that we have to take our people there, but we know it's necessary right now because that's the only way they're going to get these things.
Well, you're right.
So we're going to need BVM. We're going to need Savannah Building Futures. We're going to need Dr. Bryant. We're going to need the Reverend Maynards. We're going to need the Reverend Tillmans. We're going to need all of them to come together with these church buses and help us get our people to the stadium and back.
How's things looking on your end as far as going with the situation of the state and the vote count?
Man, we're still assessing, Brother Jerome. We're really working with partners now to determine what's the best response, and we're also continuing to monitor the SEB and these last-minute 11th hour rule changes. We're really amplifying calls for them to cease these last-minute changes, not only because it places a burden on local county boards of elections, but just like the hand counting rule in conjunction with the reasonable inquiry rule they passed earlier a couple of months ago. And these rules collectively could have a disproportionate impact on Black voters. And we're concerned that they could be leveraged as tools in predominantly Black counties to, of course, question the veracity of the election results certification process. And so we're still assessing. Again, working as a community, working within communities to determine, the best course of action. And at the same time, we're still encouraging folks to go vote. We're still encouraging folks to remain steadfast because regardless of what weapons form, Scripture says they shall not prosper.
Amen.
Well, let me ask Brother Cause of this. Mr. Cause, Attorney Cause, I was down in Ware County, and you're from there. And when I went there in 2020, it was so despair. It was just so disappointing to know how evil and I'm just got to say the Republican Party was doing down there. It's almost, I don't know if y'all been down there, but the Republican Party has snuffed out pretty much any progress. But there's a brother down there, Attorney Calls Evans Primus. He's been getting it going and trying to turn up some energy. What do y'all do in those rural counties where there is a snuffing out of any type of progression, especially when it comes to Black communities, but more so you have certain parties that try to dominate and just override and be dominant? How do you all resist that?
This is a great question. I think it's twofold. It really starts with building a sense of community within a community right there in local to Waycross. I've seen instances where the community has come together and set aside differences to let Black leadership in the city. And then also, I think it takes going beyond the bounds of the city to really extol Black citizens to take power into their own hands. And I don't think we tell ourselves the narrative enough that the state's first Black U.S. senator has roots that extend to Waycross. You know, that his mother went to Center High School, you know, right there on the north side of Waycross, Georgia. That Reverend Raphael Warnock mentions Waycross, Georgia, you know, time and time again, whenever he gives an address from the Congression, from the floor of Congress, to campaign trails. And I think that we have to buy into the fact that Waycross, we have to buy into the fact that we have power and that we can wield that power. But I think, like you're right, there are forces that are adamant in suppressing, oppressing, and diminishing Black political power from advancing in Waycross. And I'll take it a step further, from advancing within Ware County as a whole. Ware County is the biggest county in the state of Georgia, and it's quite often said it's the biggest county east of the Mississippi River, with the exorbitant amount of resources. So to wrap it all up, man, from organizing to narrative telling and to tapping into our resources and our friends at the local and especially at the federal level, we got the opportunity.
Okay, we're gonna be right back, y'all. We gotta take another quick break, and we'll be right back with you.
Need your garments cleaned with care and with a professional touch? Then bring them to One Price Cleaners in Garden City at the Old Farmers Market on Highway 80. Service you can count on.
Join us for an unforgettable Caribbean cruise in June 2025. Hey there, are you ready for an adventure? Our Black Media Network is hosting an amazing Caribbean cruise and you're invited. What's in store? 5 days of fun on the high seas. Join us for a fantastic getaway filled with parties, workshops, and opportunities to connect with your favorite show hosts. Network and connect. This isn't just a cruise. It's a unique opportunity to meet like-minded individuals, network with industry professionals, and make lasting memories. There's something for everyone. Don't wait. This is your chance to be a part of something special. For more information, reach out to our staff or your favorite show host. Book your spot today and let's make waves together in June 2025. You don't want to miss this.
All right, we're back, and Brother Demetrius has an important engagement he got to get to, but we're going to let him go ahead and wrap up his segment so he can get out of here, and we'll finish off for you this day. But we're coming back. We got to have part 3. We got to get closer to the election and get and really rev it up. We will be having a let me see, what does she call it now? I want to hear for that.
With Dr. Harris?
Yeah. She's got one Saturday coming, but
probably some with Delta.
God, what's the
voter empowerment? Some with Deltas. I know she's the chair for the Delta Social Action Committee.
Demetrius, you can see it on the calendar. Have you looked on the calendar? It should be on the BVM calendar as well.
Yeah, it's around November 5th, around November 16th, I think it is too. But it's gonna be where they're bringing in the whole coastal empire together to have one big voter turnout. So we're gonna want you here. So go ahead and you can let you close out so you can get out of here, Demetrius.
Well, again, y'all, I really appreciate it for the time. I don't think that I would be successful in the work that I'm doing with LDF without the work that y'all are doing right here in Savannah, right here in Chatham County, and right here in the surrounding counties. And I cherish the partnership, the relationship that's being built, and I cherish the work that's being done. I think it's in so many different ways. It's a calling, you know what I'm saying? And many are called, but few are chosen. But y'all definitely walk in that mark. I'd say my last parting words before I hop would be I will be back in Savannah. Definitely planning some trips towards the end of this month, and interested in especially partnering with folks who are interested in doing pole monitor trainings. We train, we certify members in the community to be attentive to issues at local polling precincts, and that could be obstacles for folks going to vote. And we think that it's very much so a needed segment in work to ensure that we remove barriers to the ballots, from long lines to precincts that don't comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act. And so definitely looking forward to getting back on the ground and doing those trainings there. But then also in every way imaginable, you have a friend and an advocate in me when it comes to voting rights. And I want to be able to extend myself as a resource for folks who are seeking to simply amplify the message behind civic engagement and voting. All politics are local. And I think we start with where we are. We continue to build momentum, just like this conversation, I'm sure, has some folks ready to go out now and get some change done. Start where we are, build that momentum, and over time we should see some greater success. So yes, I'll leave it there. Glad to be in community with you all. Glad to be in fellowship with you all, and look forward to seeing you all real soon.
Oh, Demetrius, I got one quick question, and I'm gonna let you think about this until we come back again, okay? Both parties, Democrat and Republican, are raking in tons of money, but nobody's spending it locally. How in the world do they expect to get the vote out if they don't spend the money locally? They spend it nationally, but they're not spending it locally. So how do they expect to get into places like we talk about the rural communities, these little communities, small communities? Nobody wants. I have a friend that coined the phrase a while ago. Said, and it was simple. Free comes slow. And when we're trying to get people to volunteer, it comes slow. It's hard to get people to volunteer when they see the money that's being taken in and nobody's hashing it out. So you think about that one to get for a question.
And I'll answer that for you, Dimitri, real quick, if I could, because I've been on both sides of it. I've been a candidate because honestly, y'all, when Ossoff and Warnock ran, Daniel and I should have been your public service commissioner. It made absolutely no sense that, and I'm Dimitri. I'm very brutal with honesty, and I'm lifelong Democrat, but I'm gonna come down on Nikema Williams, who's been ineffective as a DPG chair. We've got to have state chairs, and we got to have people in the campaign to understand collaboration. It ain't about clout. It's about getting people in office that are going to advocate for the values of everyday folks, right? So when Daniel and I both, I didn't make it to the runoff. Daniel did. It made no sense that he didn't win. But one thing I will say about that, why is it important? Because the one thing I said when I was running for Public Service Commission was I was never going to vote for a rate change until I saw the benefit of that rate change. But what you have now, rubber stamps. So let me fast forward it to now. I was a field organizer for Harris Walt's campaign for a while. And I'm sitting here, why are we not working with Patty Hewitt? Why are we not working with Patty Duran? Why are we not working with Orlando Scott? So I took it upon myself.
Richard Coleman, yeah, I got you.
Campaign myself to collaborate with those other entities. There is a strategy but there is a silo effect that we've got to get past. And so what I'm saying is you got party chairs and you got campaign staffers that need to step outside of ego and step outside of clout and get the job done, because it's not easy and it's not clean, but that's how you want people to vote down ballot. You want people to work, come up off the resources, and let's do some real work here.
And I'm gonna keep my 501c3 hat on and concur with everything that Brian's saying. And look, a spirit of collaboration is the only way to get it done, right? And it's folks out here every day in the field, in the trenches, doing the grunt work. You got to give them their acknowledgement. You know what I'm saying? Because they're the reason why the people are in office that are in office today. And so when it comes down to distributing resources, I go as far as to say, like, you know, when President Harris came down to the coast and visited, you know, Savannah and Liberty County, I think there's a recognition there that this election is going to be decided not only by voters in metro areas, but voters in rural areas, right? And with that recognition has to come a flow of resources. The South got something to say. Outkast said that back in the 90s. I'm going to reiterate it right now. And by the South, I mean those places in Southeast Georgia. By the South, I mean those places in Southwest Georgia. And by the South, I mean those hard to reach rural places where there are abundant Black communities and Black voices and Black families who have a say in this election. And as long as you're collaborating with them, speaking and reaching out to them and distributing resources to them, you energize them to go out and cast their ballot and have that change that they set their platforms on. So look, they can't forget about our people, because I know doggone well we ain't gonna forget about our people. So blessings to y'all.
All right, my brother. We will see you again. We'll look forward to you coming down to Savannah.
Thank you for your time, sir.
Always. And I look forward to seeing y'all.
Mr. Jerome, I do want to speak on one thing. I want to talk about the incarcerated inmates right now, how they're suffering right now. Not only, at least we're free. At least some of us can get out and get ice. At least some of us can get out and get water. But what about the ones that are incarcerated? What about the ones that are in the nursing homes that are suffering with no lights, no water? How do we get outside supplies to these places? Because we know the COVID is still real, and we know we can't go in certain facilities. Let's say the jailhouse. We know the jailhouse. There's no visits at the jailhouse. So they have people there that have no water. The water in the dormitories have been cut off. They're suffering. They're complaining now. I'm getting calls about that as we speak.
Well, one of the things that I would say that we could do, and that is call the sheriff's office and just call them. Have everybody start calling. Like we're doing a marathon, just start calling and tell them, hey.
And there's only so much that they can do. So we need some. We need and because they're short of staff, we know this. So do we deputize some people and bring them in just for this occasion to help them pass out water, ice, and help out? But how can we do that if we're not allowed?
That's a good question. I don't have that answer, but I will be able to. We can make some calls and see what we can find out. That's the least we can do is make calls.
Well, see, we're already at the calling stages. We're beyond the calling stages. We want to go in now. We need to find the solution, and the solution we have already called. Now we need an answer. We need a solution right now. We're beyond the calls now.
I hear what you said, but I don't know how to get in there without being deputized and.
Yes, sir. And I thank you for your time. I thank you for allowing me to speak and be a part of your platform. Thank you again. Yes, thank you, Dr. Brian, as well. Thank you, Black Media, as well. But everybody who don't know me, y'all should know that I am the Reverend Allen Maynard. I fight for the least, the lost, and the left out, and my big mouth will not stop. And if you put me on an assignment, the only thing that's going to deter me from it is death. So that means I'm going to stick to you like glue. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I know you didn't hear that part. But we will be back with you, Savannah, Georgia, next week. We will have another show.
I didn't.
I know you didn't. Because I said I didn't hit you too hard. You ain't dead yet.
I should have known Joe had something to say, right?
And we will have another tremendous guest for you next Tuesday. We're going to try. I'm not sure yet, but we're going to try to get Dr. Bobby Jones on with us next week and see if we can't talk about some medical issues that we can get solved around here. So with that being said, until next week, we will see you all again, and may God bless each and every one of you until we all meet again right back here, our Black media, the vulnerable community. And we'll see y'all.
Peace, love, and soul. Peace, love, and soul.